Why did you leave your partner at the altar? I always dreamed of my dream wedding growing up. I imagined the dress, the flowers, and the way everyone would look at me as I walked down the aisle. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. My parents were immigrants, and they were strict in ways my friends never had to deal with. Sleepovers were forbidden. Hanging out after school was rare, and only if they knew exactly where I was. Dating was completely off limits. Love, they always said, came after marriage, not before. I resented their rules, but I never fought back. They had sacrificed too much for me to be ungrateful. But everything changed when I went to college. For the first time, I had freedom. No one was checking my phone or questioning where I was. It was overwhelming at first, like stepping into a world I had only watched from the outside. Then I met Liam. We got paired for a group project, and I was instantly nervous. He had this effortless confidence that made him seem so sure of himself, while I had spent my whole life afraid of stepping out of line. He made jokes under his breath about the professor, and I had to fight back a smile. After class, he walked with me even though his next class was in the opposite direction. "So, you gonna let me take you out for coffee? Or do I have to pretend I need help with this project?" he asked. I knew I should say no. I knew my parents would never approve, but for the first time in my life, I ignored that voice in my head. That first coffee turned into long study sessions, then late night walks, then sitting in his car for hours talking about everything. I had never felt so comfortable with someone before. He made me laugh in a way I never had growing up. He asked me what I wanted in life, not what my parents wanted for me. He listened. He remembered. One night, we sat in his car after dinner. He reached for my hand but hesitated for just a second before taking it. "I really like you," he said, "and I think you like me too." My heart was racing. I had never done this before, never been allowed to, but I nodded and squeezed his hand. Loving him was easy. It was warm, safe, and exciting all at once. I had to keep him a secret, but despite that, I was the happiest I had ever been. After graduation, I told myself I would finally tell my parents. I practiced the conversation, hoping they would listen, but before I could say anything, they sat me down and told me they had found me a husband. The wedding was already planned. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I wanted to fight back, to tell them about Liam, but the words wouldn't come out. I had never told them no before. When I told Liam, his face crumpled. "Tell them no," he pleaded. "We can figure this out. I love you." Tears blurred my vision. "I can't," I whispered. And just like that, I broke both of our hearts. My fiancé was kind. He came from a good family and treated me well. If I had never met Liam, maybe I could have convinced myself this was enough. But every time my fiancé smiled, I thought of Liam's smile. Every time he spoke, I heard Liam's voice instead. The night before the wedding, my phone rang. Liam's name lit up the screen. "You don't have to do this," he said. Tears burned my eyes. "There's nothing I can do," I whispered, "but I'll always love you." I barely slept. My heart felt like it was being crushed under the weight of a life I didn't choose. The wedding day felt surreal. My dress was perfect. The guests were smiling, and my parents looked so proud. But as I stood at the altar, I felt hollow. Then I looked at my fiancé, waiting for me to say the words that would bind us together forever. I couldn't do it and ran. Gasps filled the room, but I didn't stop. I ran past the guests, past my parents, past everything I had ever known. My chest ached. My dress tangled around my legs, but I kept going. My hands trembled as I pulled out my phone. "I couldn't do it," I sobbed. "Where are you?" Liam asked. 15 minutes later, he pulled up in his car. I had never seen him look so frantic. The second I saw him, I collapsed into his arms. "I only want to be with you," I whispered. My phone buzzed nonstop. My parents, my relatives. They said I had ruined everything. They called me a disgrace. For the first time in my life, I didn't care. I turned off my phone, got into Liam's car, and never looked back. It wasn't easy. My parents disowned me, and I lost people I had known my whole life. Some nights I wondered if I had made a mistake, but Liam was there, and for the first time ever, I was free.